This is going to be a bit of a Mythbuster style video because I am in the process of doing a bunch of body work on my 1988 Pontiac Fiero GT, pictured here in iCard, wherever the iCards go. I'm not a very good YouTuber, I know. And one of my friends suggested that I need to get a coat of primer on the car as soon as possible because I don't want the body filler to absorb too much moisture in the air. And I was like, okay, that logic makes sense, but I couldn't find any conclusive testing on the subject. So I decided to make a video on it, and here we are. I don't really plan for this channel to be, product reviews and tests and stuff. I would like to keep this channel mostly me building things and kind of sprinkle these in wherever I think they're necessary. So let's get on to the testing part. I think this is a good time to mention this because I didn't do it in the intro. I'm a bad YouTuber, I know, but I am not associated with any of the brands or products mentioned in this video. I purchased everything with my own money, of my own volition. But we got Bondo Original Body Filler because I say this is the gold standard. This is not really the gold standard. This is kind of just what you buy at the auto parts store, and if you do this for a living, you buy other stuff. Got the short strand fiberglass filler because it's supposed to be more water resistant or waterproof depending on which one you buy. Then I'm also going to throw in Bondo wood filler as a bit of a wild card. All of the products will be mixed with their associated hardener cream, even though it is the same stuff in the tube. I know somebody's going to be pedantic about it, so let's get on to prepping the material. Howdy everybody, Editing Pickles here. This sped up section is going to give me a little time to talk about prepping the material and a little bit more of my plan for this video, as you can't hear it over the sound. So I'm measuring out and grinding some 2x2 inch sections of mild steel, and then later on in this sped up section I'm going to sandblast them. The plan for the rest of the video, because I didn't really explain it very often, is I'm going to coat each of the 2x2 sections in the various types of body filler, soak them in water for them to get waterlogged, attempt to dry them out, and then scrape the excess filler off to see if the metal underneath rusted. Alright, now you've got nice, clean, mild steel. It's been cut to 2x2 inches and then sandblasted, so it's nice and clean, so we should be able to measure the rust potential of the body fillers. As you can see by this setup that I've got here, each product is going to get its own mixing stick and its own mixing swatch, as to not cross-contaminate the materials, and then to clean the 2x2 section of metal from any hand oil. Got carburetor cleaner because I didn't have any brake cleaner and I didn't feel like going out to the store to get some. So let's get this mixed up. This is a pain in the butt to do with an injured hand. Okay. Get a little bit of that extra off the sides. A little goopy, but that'll be fine. Now, technically, I forgot to spray that one with brake parts cleaner, but I did another take over there and then my camera overheated. So they have been sprayed with brake parts cleaner before this with the gloves on, so there shouldn't be any contamination, but still.
Generate by AI.
Like frosting a cake, but exponentially more difficult because my hand is injured. All right, let's let these cure. Let's put this one not in the sun. Let's let these cure, and then we can weigh them. All right, before we get on to the next part of the test, dog cameo, because I know the internet loves animals. Hello, boys. This is Tank. He's 11, and this is Maxwell. He is less than a year old. He'll be one in November, and he'll be 11 in November. But on to what you're here for. Got the scale out, so let's get her set to grams. She's all zeroed out. First sample is settle 62.4. Let's write that down so we don't forget it. 62 point. This is annoying to do with one hand. Now on to the Bondo glass, as it's called. I'm trying to clean up some of this. 63 on the dot. 0.0. Now let's weigh the wood filler. 59.5 grams. 59 point. What was that? Tells you how bad my memory is. 59.5. Tells you how bad my memory is. Just wasn't actually paying attention to the numbers. Was more paying attention to the camera. All right, now let's go back out on the driveway and soak them with water. Howdy, neighbor. Water in my driveway. You know how it is. All jokes aside, all three products are soaking in water so they can absorb as much moisture as they want whenever they want to. But I should note that the backside of the mild steel is uncoated, and you can already see it starting to rust in this water, even though we sandblasted these samples earlier in this video. So when we knock the filler off and see if there's any rust underneath them, should be a very interesting comparison. So this is the part of the video where we realized we made an oopsie. I realized this morning that I had treated the original body filler in the previous clips with body filler honey, as they call it, or thinner, or it's basically just polyester-based fiberglass resin. It's supposed to make the body filler easier to work with and also take longer to cure. However, that's an independent variable that I forgot to account for in the original clips. So what we did is we went out to the store, bought some Bondo original body filler that is completely untouched, still in the factory sealed can. And then I have also treated our other two products with said fiberglass honey because they worked. And now we have 6 samples. So I'm not going to waste any more time. I'm just going to smash cut to me weighing the 3 new samples. Exactly as promised, we jumped straight to all the samples being prepared and submerged in water. I did the exact same thing, cut the squares, sandblasted them to remove any rust, put gloves on, sprayed them with carburetor cleaner to prepare, and then put the new filler on them. So now we have 3 without thinner added and 3 with thinner added. So this one, and this one are the originals, and this one, and this one are new. So now we let these soak, and then the experiment can continue. All right, all 6 of our samples have been soaking in water for 24 hours. Now, let's weigh them and see how much water they absorbed. And I did keep the mixing swatches for each of them and they're laid out in relation to how you see them here. Grams zeroed out. I am going to shake off any residual water left over on top. 61.5, so only 0.5 of a gram of water absorbed from the regular body filler. Do you think it's interesting that this 63.2, so 0.2 of a gram, actually that absorbed, yep, a lot more. I do think it's interesting that the Bondo glass, you can see how much that metal's rusting underneath, turned more of like a battleship gray color instead of the emerald green that it starts off as. Now for the 59.8, so 0.2 grams of water, 0.3 grams of water. And now we're moving on to the ones with body filler thinner added. No change at all. After 24 hours, it seems like it's lost weight. No change at all on the body filler with thinner added. Interesting. .2 grams. .4 grams of water. If it would settle out, thank you. 0.3 grams of water. 0.4 grams of water. I'm just going to call it 0.4, 61.4. So if we learned anything, the wood putty filler absorbs a lot more moisture than the other ones. So now we're going to take all of these samples, put them out in the sun, and see if we can bake off this residual moisture. It is supposed to be a nice hot 84 degrees with 40% humidity here in South Carolina today, so these should have ample opportunity to evaporate. So flash forward 8 to 10 hours. I thought it would be a very cool shot to get the thermal camera out and show you how toasty these test squares are getting in the sun. Getting pretty warm, getting pretty toasty. They should be evaporating very well. They've only been about here about 3 hours, so I'm going to leave them out here for another 4 hours at least. Alright, all of our samples have been baking in the sun for the better part of 10 hours, and I would do it longer, but I'm about to lose my light. I've tried to move them around so that they would be in continuous sun the entire time to really get a good idea of our evaporation rate. Alright, so let's lay them out the way that we normally do. Alright, let's see. It's also interesting to see that they returned back mostly to their original green color. We're going to see if they weigh out what they're supposed to. So this one, we're looking for 61.4. 61.2, we lost weight. A fair amount of weight, actually, from it drying out. That's not really enough for us to lose that much. But after drying out, we're at 61.2, down from 61.5. This one, I know it's smudged, but I have it written down over here. We're looking for 60.3. We lost weight again. We evaporated off all of the water. All of the moisture in the air. Now for the wood putty. 59.5 on the dot. We evaporated all the water out of that one too. Down from 59.8. Let's see about the thinner. Looking for 62.4 on this one. 62.00. We even lost more weight off of this one. Not enough rust off the backside. 62. This one we're looking for 60.8. No, we're looking for 60. This one hasn't quite lost all its water yet. This one's still at 60.8, the waterlogged weight. Interesting how the body filler thinner helps trap moisture in that sample. 61.0. That one lost all its water weight too, because the waterlogged weight was 61.4 And now it's back down to 61.0, the pre-waterlogging weight. Interesting. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand them as if they were ready to be painted and then rerun the experiment. Okay, we sanded each sample with 150 grit sandpaper to bring it into a paint-ready condition. Obviously, this isn't completely paint-ready, but I wanted to see if sanding it had an effect on the water absorption. So we sanded them, reweighed them, remarked them out, and now, here they go, back in the drink for another 12 hours. I'm also going to make another one of these index card. This is test one, unsanded, without thinner and with thinner for each of the samples laid out in this same grid pattern. And then their before weights, their waterlogged weights, and as their before weights, their waterlogged weights, and then their finishing weight. So, see you guys tomorrow after 12 more hours in the drink. Right, our samples have been soaking in this water for 15 hours now, so I'm going to try to weigh them quick because this video is already getting kind of long. $59.6, it's about 0.3 grams of water. $61.9, so about another 3 grams of water, 4 grams of water. You know what? Yep, it's about another 3 grams of water, 0.3 grams of water. My pen cap keeps rolling all over the place. Another 4 grams of water. A very, very consistent moisture absorption rate from this stuff. Interesting. Let's see how the thinners do. .3 grams of water again. Slightly less than 3 grams of water, only 2 grams of water. Oh, nope, we're, yep, 3. 59.7. Might actually speed up all of these segments in the editing, not fast, just 0.2 grams of water. 0.4. 60.5. Interesting how literally every sample absorbed 0.3 grams of water. No matter the filler type, no matter if it had thinner added. That is super interesting, actually. So now, let's set these out here to try. Fast forward another 12 hours. So I'm going to be completely honest with y'all. I have been weighing the samples. They've been sitting out in the sun, but I've been weighing the samples every hour since the last video clip just to see exactly how long it would take. And we're about an hour, 3.5 hours into the experiment. And again, all of the samples have returned back to nearly their weight. So again, the moisture has baked off. So now there is pretty much no moisture. That one's got a little bit left in it still. Might have to let that one cook out in the sun for a bit more. As you see, all of the samples except one have pretty much returned to their original weight after 3 hours. So let's just say 4 hours. So now, let's go scrape this body filler off and see what the steel underneath looks like, shall we? Now we've got our bare steel squares laid out exactly in our grid pattern. So this is original without thinner, original with thinner, short strand without thinner, short strand with thinner, wood putty without thinner, and wood putty with thinner. And all of them are clean as clean can be. So even spending the better part of 2 whole days in water, they're not rusted at all. Here's the backside for comparison. The backside of the steel that was exposed rusted like crazy, but the side that was protected by all the filler didn't rust at all. Very interesting results. Very interesting results in this video, wouldn't you say? Contemporary wisdom pretty much states that if body filler gets wet, you have to scrape it all off and start over. Well, we thoroughly debunked that idea. All 6 samples were able to evaporate all of the moisture they had absorbed in as little as 4 hours just sitting in the sun. So that makes me feel a lot better of the condition that I left this car in. So presumably there will be an iCard right here, linked to the video of what all I've done to this car. But thank you very much for watching. I do think we very conclusively proved that it doesn't matter if body filler gets wet, because any moisture it absorbed was evaporated off, and the underlying steel was completely protected from the moisture. There was 0 rust under all of the fillers, with thinner, without thinner, short strand, original, wood filler even. So thank you very much for watching.